All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm the Pet Man, Matt Morrow. Um, Once again, another great night of playoff football was had across the state of North Carolina. A lot of results that I think we expected. You're starting to get deeper into the playoffs, and you're starting to weed through some of those upsets, and now you're getting down to nitty gritty and seeing who's really real and who is obviously getting knocked out. Before we get into all the other games that we saw tonight, me and the producer were at Big Shelby tonight, and they were taking on East Gaston in a third round. This was a rematch of a game played previously earlier this year. Um, it was not much doubt in this game. Early on, Shelby got a safety, and then they returned the safety kickoff for a touchdown. So they jumped up 9-0 without their offense even touching the field. Um, and then East Gaston um, went three and out again. Shelby returned a punt for a touchdown, so it was 15-0 before they had an offensive possession. East Gaston, though, on the first possession that Shelby did have, Shelby threw an interception, and then East Gaston scored on a short touchdown drive, made it 15-7, and that was as close as it got. From that point on, Shelby dominated the football game. They scored, I believe, 42 unanswered points. Me and the producer left. It was 57-7 in the third quarter with the running clock when we left the game. And it final score ended up being 64-15. Shelby moves on to a big matchup against Reedsville next week at Shelby. That'll be a big game in the 2A West bracket. Great season for East Gaston. Nothing to hang your head about making the third round. Nobody predicted that for those guys. But ran into a buzzsaw tonight. Playoff Shelby was focused. The star running back for East Gaston, Justin Hill, did not, get many yards. Matter of fact, it was reported he got 19 yards, no touchdown. And in the previous matchup, he had over 200. So, Shelby was definitely locked in defensively. Very impressive for those guys. Shelby quarterback Dalen Lee threw the ball well. As most of you guys that follow Shelby know. They really got the run game going. East Gaston was really trying to play to stop the passing game of Shelby, and they ran a lot of outside zone for big yardage, time after time after time again. So there's a highlight package I put together. It's on our Facebook page. I'll work to get that on Instagram, and a portion of that, will go on Twitter. Feel free to check those highlights out and share them if you are a Shelby or East Gaston fan. All right, so we've got a few comments. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing, man? Good to see you watching. And Big Shelby himself. Here we go. Appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Back at it next week against Reedsville at the Jungle. Traditional Thanksgiving practice next Thursday under the lights. That's awesome. And then, as I said, the defense played lights out, held Hill to 19 yards, no touchdowns, and they were locked in all week. So, good stuff. Good stuff. So, you guys attended other games tonight. Feel free to post your scores or any thoughts that you have. I know we have fewer games, so we have fewer people engaged, and that's how it goes, as you get deeper into the playoffs. But I want to say congratulations to a couple of teams that are local tonight, picking up championships, which is always awesome. The 704 is known for championships, just being real about it. First one, Providence Day, winning the Division I NCISAA championship, or private school, as you may know it, 14-9 over Rabun Gap. I was one of the few on the show that picked Providence Day to win. And I'm glad that Coach Chad Greer backed me up. And I'm very happy for those guys to get a state championship. They had a really, really good season. Kind of got off to a slow start, but they got things going mid-season. They won that big first matchup with Raven Gap that really kind of put them in the driver's seat to host the championship game. And then they go back and they beat a really good Raven Gap team twice. And, that's awesome. That's awesome. And, very happy for Coach Greer and all those talented guys, including quarterback Grant Logan, a Queen City Senior Bowl selection, leading his team to a state championship. That's great stuff, man. Congrats to those guys. I also want to say congratulations to my buddy Jamie Bolton, head coach of the Cabarrus Warriors, going all the way down to Harold's Christian in the Harolds, North Carolina, the middle of nowhere, picking up a Division II NCIS championship, 34-31 over Harolds in a rematch of a game that the professor Kenneth McClamrock attended for us earlier this season up at Cabarrus. So if you're gonna take a long ride, you might as well win a championship and celebrate on the way back. I'm sure that bus ride was epic. Do you win a state championship? Very, very happy for those guys. And they're still young. That's the thing about it. Last year they got a taste of playoffs. They went down to Harolds, and then Harolds beat them pretty good. Harolds beat them up here in the regular season in a close game. And to get over the hump over a team that's beat you multiple times, it's no more satisfying feeling than that. So congratulations to the Cabarrus Warriors and Coach Bolton for an awesome season and a great job, and a team that's only going to continue to grow and get better as they get older. All right, let's see here. Here we go. We got one comment on Chambers 28-10 over Porter Ridge. The Queen was at that game. She had highlights on Twitter. Well, not highlights, I'm sorry. Updates on Twitter all night long. She did get an interview with number 6 Cameron Kennedy that, we'll work to get out over the next day or so. Overall, that's a really, really strong win. We saw what Porter Ridge did to Grimsley, and for Chambers to come in there on their home field, stay focused, and execute and win that football game. It's playoff Chambers. They're locked in. They're focused. That victory puts them in a position next week to travel to Weddington in a absolutely mega matchup of two titans in this area for the past few years. A matchup we wanted to see pre-COVID, but COVID, of course, kind of screwed that up. So, but anyway, that's going to be an awesome game next week in the 4th round of the state playoffs. All right, let's go to the scoreboard and see what other scores we got here. Let's see. All right, we just mentioned Weddington. They did defeat Cuthbertson tonight, 34-21. Great season for Coach Kavanaugh and the Cuthbertson Cavaliers. Making it to the 3rd round as a 27 seed is incredible. That program's really going in the right direction. Great leadership, great talented young men in that program. Really coming together at the right time. They fought some adversity earlier in the season with the pandemic, overcame that, and they made a run at it. But congrats to Weddington once again. Really, really looking like some of their previous teams that, really, really come together in the playoffs and play their best football at the right time. Huff over Mallard Creek, 31-17. I know Mallard Creek was up 3-0 in this game, and then we saw Huff kind of take the game over. I think that score was 31-3, and then Mallard Creek got 2 late touchdowns to close the gap a little bit. But, Huff is rolling. They look good. They got a huge matchup next week with East Forsyth. East Forsyth defeating Glenn earlier this evening, 14-0. Another playoff shutout for East Forsyth. And I'm telling you, man, Defensive coordinator for East Forsyth, Aaron Bill. I mean, what a job! What a job! That Glenn team scored 38 points on those guys earlier this season, but East Forsyth won the game in overtime. But to go from that to another playoff shutout, that just shows you how locked in those guys are right now. And that's going to be a heck of a fourth round matchup. Huff hosting East Forsyth next week. And East Forsyth is not scared to come to Charlotte, as we saw with RG Kill shutting those guys out last week. Dudley over Kings Mountain, 36-10. This game was tied at halftime at 7, and then Dudley exploded out of the locker room and took the game over. We were at, Shelby, and you know how Shelby and Kings Mountain are, kind of rivals or something like that. And we had people asking us, hey, what's going on with Dudley and the Kings Mountain? We were like, we don't know. We're here. We don't have anyone there to tell us, what might be going on. But, Dudley, kicked it into another gear in the second half and was able to win that football game. So they move on in the state playoffs. All right. Got some comments here. The Queen's chiming in. Porter Ridge played tough in the first half, made costly mistakes that you can't make against Chambers. Yep. Yeah, you can't give great teams, any leverage or, anything at this point in the game. They'll take advantage of it. And like I said earlier, playoff Chambers is in full swing. Once again, that's another impressive victory for the Cougars. Karen Belk, sorry to see Forest View season end. Jacob Neely scored their only TD. Yep. Joe Hughes was there. South Point defeating Forest View 27-7. I'm telling you, I was surprised at that a little bit. I had picked Forest View mainly because usually when you really limit a team the first time around, they do some things to adjust out of their character, and sometimes it doesn't work. But great coaching on the South Point side, to realize what didn't work the first time, and then take advantage of the adjustments that they made from that first matchup. And then Jacob Neely, it's not his last game. He's in the Queen City Senior Bowl. Very excited to have him in that game. And you'll see him, on the field one more time, for RSV fans, along with his teammate, Camry Reed. So don't fret just yet for that. And then Gary Ashley, Maiden 32, Salisbury 20. A lot of people were also asking about that one. Like you said, Maiden is for real. And that's what that tells me. I mean, we know how physical Salisbury is and how talented they are, led by the Georgia commit linebacker Walker. So, really impressive victory for Maiden right there. All right. Let's jump back on the scoreboard here. And Crest big over North Davidson. We thought that game would be close, but Crest big, 35-14. They really got it rolling behind Mari Adams and that Crest offensive line getting it done. Good stuff for those guys. East Surrey over Monroe, 10-9. I sat here and I said this would be a great offensive football game. And then you go out here and both defenses just dominate. And points were hard to come by. And I did not see that coming. I felt like it'd be close, but I thought it was going to be on the higher end of the scoring close. But congrats to East Surrey. Monroe's a heck of a team. Really well coached with Johnny Soul and those guys. They had another great season. I just hate that it had to end in a tough 1-point loss on the road in Pilot Mountain. Never been there. Our Justin Adams was down at Northwestern District 3 Stadium in Rock Hill, and he had a great game. Gaffney defeating Northwestern 16-13 in overtime. I know that makes our Joe Hughes a very happy man, as he is from South Carolina, and Gaffney being one of his teams. But Northwestern, man, what a talented group of young men they have. Quarterback Will Madison, when COVID hit in South Carolina, football was big in our coverage last fall. I really got to know him. Really talented quarterback. He'll make a school really happy if he elects to go there. And I have some other guys on that team that I like. Just looking at film and knowing and seeing them live. Jordan Knox at left tackle, 6'4", 295 kid, just a beast. Turbo Richard, one of my favorites. He comes to every CFI camp. He started getting some reps at running back and doing a great job with that. Talented kids at Northwestern, and Coach Wofford done an awesome job getting those guys, back among the title contenders in, South Carolina 5A football. So great season for those guys. I know it's tough to lose at home in overtime, but we know Gaffney's a heck of a team as well. South Point over Greenwood, 30-20. Our buddies down there across the border, Coach Van Horn, Coach LJ, moving on in the playoffs, going deep. Now they're playing for an upper state championship next week. And they're playing that game at home at South Point. So, I know a lot of you, Charlotte guys, know those guys. You want to come out and support. That's a great time. If you're not interested in any of the other games that are going on. But that's a great win for South Point to go down there and get that done at Greenwood. Awesome stuff. All right. So, as we said, next week, big matchups. Chambers is going to Weddington. That game will be at 7 p.m. South Point and Crest. Matchup we've seen before a few times out in Cleveland County. East Forsyth at Huff, as we talked about before. Great matchup there. We talked about Reedsville at Shelby. Cleveland County, two huge games with the Crest game and the Shelby game going on. And then South Point, moving on, they're playing Greenville, hosting Greenville next Friday in the 4A Upper State Championship game in South Carolina. All right. Let's see. We got some more comments here. Keisha Phelps saying Jacob Neely's going to make it big. I like the young man. I do like the young man a lot. Statesville. Now, Statesville, I saw they won big over Highbright, 42-0. And, Statesville is really rolling. We talked about them on the show about how, they just been dominating people, throughout this playoff run. And, it's very impressive. Very impressive, stuff coming out of there. Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think of the young man up there that I like. Quentin, oh, gosh. I can't think of his last name. But he plays linebacker. He plays D-line. He came to our camp, and I thought he moved well for a big guy. He's a big piece, of their Quante. That's it, Quante Brown. He's a big piece of their success up there. So congrats to Statesville for moving on, to the fourth round. Hendersonville, I think that's the one. I think they played Reedsville. If that's correct, Reedsville won that game over Hendersonville, 50-35. Karen, because Reedsville's playing Shelby next week. I believe that was the final score in that one. A lot of points, but Reedsville found a way to get it done over Hendersonville. All right. So, of course, next week, Football Focus Weekly. Tune in. We'll break down those fourth round games in detail. Figure out where we're going. Right now, I want to be in about 3 places at the same time. And as always, we thank you for your support. We thank you for watching. Make sure if you're a Shelby East Gaston fan, you want to check out those highlights. They should be, let me double check and make sure they're on my Facebook page. Yep. No, wait a minute. Yep, they're up. So go ahead and check those out if you want to check out some highlights for the first 2.5 quarters tonight over at Shelby and East Gaston. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for your support as always. Have a great weekend.